Hello, welcome to this video. I'm going to do just a quick flow where I go into a space of bringing through messages from my higher guidance team. This is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis, although some of it will be linear. And my intention is the highest levels of love, light, and unity consciousness. So let me just kind of move into a space and kind of see what synchronicities and other wordplay wants to come through. And many of us are feeling the desire to raise our voice in this now moment, to raise our eyes to the sky and look for a particular answer to come from above. And many of us have been asking for these answers for quite some time. And yet we might invite and encourage everyone to recognize that the answers will come through love. And while this may seem a very simplistic view and simplified perspective, we have many different perspectives in which we share through this particular network or channel or channels, that we are all intrinsically connected and connected into and throughout the wave forms, thought forms, energetic waves that we are all part of, that we are all sharing in and co-creating simultaneously. So therefore, when we bring it back to the space of love, it allows us to transmit in a whole new way, in a whole new order of things. It allows us to convey our thoughts, our feelings, our frequencies in a specific waveform that interrupts all of the distractions that are truly here to distract us. For if we were all focused on oneness, if we are all focused on love and compatibility with love, or the frequency of that which we are looking for from above, we can then tune into what it is that which is above is sharing with us on a continual basis, for we are already connected to that which it is that we are seeking outside of ourselves. We are already connected to that which it is that we are looking for from above. Many of us have tuned into the recent information that has been flowing in about what it is that is above us, or what many of us have already known is part of our family. And we are referring to the extraterrestrial origins of that which it is that many people have been looking for. And yet we would playfully remind everyone that we are all extraterrestrial in origin, being birthed through a body, in a body on Earth. For none of us are truly only from this earth, because our entire existence is created through the space or the energy or the sound or the frequency of Source. And therefore Source is Earth and is also in all things beyond Earth. Many of us already know that our family, or our heritage, one might call it, our line of ancestry, may be connected to other parts of the galaxy, for one example, or other regions in space. And yet we are bringing this subject up, for it is a highly talked about topic right now. And while not everyone is speaking on this subject, for the subject does not speak to them, they are being called, or many of us are being called, to begin to look that direction. And we simultaneously are inviting we to look in that direction, meaning look inward, before asking for the answers to come from someone or something outside of ourselves, in order to receive the proper unification that it is we are looking for. For as we continue to search for something that is beyond our solar system, or we begin to look for something that we may feel will provide the answers, the resources, the many different answers to many different questions we may have always had, we can already access this. We can already access that by accessing this. For within our consciousness, within our body, within our human compression chamber that is the heart, is a molecular synergy, one might call it. And within this molecular synergy in space is the ability to tune into that which it is that is beyond or out there in space. Why is this such a hot topic? Many of us have already known that this has been in existence for eons, and yet it is now becoming more accessible at this time. And we would venture to say, from one perspective, it is time for people to begin to accept more diversity, more of reality beyond the conceptual reality that we have been taught, or the conceptual reality that has been neatly packaged into a story. For much of the story has yet to be told, or much of the story has been interpreted in an old way. I'm hearing an old adage system that no longer adds up for our dimensional exchange and variability, or our dimensional frequency has adapted to a stronger somatic. And we offer this stronger somatic in a cinematic presentation for this is a difficult subject for many who are not used to watching this particular movie. And again, I want to stop for a moment. I'm being shown essentially, we recently had disclosure around our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters, which many of us are already, if you're watching this channel, most likely you've already kind of known that that was the case. And I can tell this is a topic that's going to be brought up a lot. So my guidance team is essentially showing me, as I'm sharing this with you guys, I am seeing the future version of us. I'm seeing all of our ancestors. We come from the stars. Part of the reason I started this channel, Keep It Simple Star Seeds, is all of us are made up of the same stuff that stars are made up of. All of us come from different places and spaces, yet we're all human. So essentially we might hold the codes of another star system within our DNA that has yet to be shown to us. But what my guidance team is basically saying is, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters. When I first started doing this work, that's all I wanted to know. You know, where's my star family? Where are they from? Am I this and am I that? And I did get answers along the way. Most of the answers I received, though, were from going into meditation. I didn't have people tell me, well, and that's the other message that's coming through. Multiple messages. The first message is get in the heart, get into the heart. Because if we're not utilizing this ability to utilize our expanded consciousness from the heart center, we're going to be easily misled, even in the new world of what I'm hearing is the new world of misinformation. So we have the old world of misinformation that we're in the process of finding the truth out about, but it's interlaced with more misinformation. And we're really being called, between all of the technological advances that are being made, which will be a separate video, all of the interactions that we may or may not be having in the physical, perhaps with extraterrestrial beings, or more importantly, the information that we're going to be told from the powers that be about our extra dimensional friends and family. We have to feel here in order to distinguish the difference between what is true and what isn't, and feel into our hearts when something is benevolent and for our highest and greatest good, and when it isn't. And even more than that, when we recognize that it isn't, to do our best to not step into a place of judgment about that particular story or person that is doing the misleading. And so this is important because I'm hearing the word neutrality. One of the important messages is, in order for us to step up and accept, what I'm hearing is accept responsibility for the new world. Like, we're the ones that are creating it. Accept that responsibility and not play in the old games as if we haven't grown up. So walk the talk, be the master of these energies and these frequencies. And I want to really take a moment and remind everybody that doesn't mean perfection. We might make choices as a human, no matter where our star family is from, that we think we're connected to or feel strongly that we're connected to. We're still humans. We have emotions. We have thoughts. We are opening up our extrasensory abilities, which means we might be tuning into thoughts that aren't even really ours. And that's, again, another video. But we have to use our we have to channel all of that through the heart so that we can then decide or make appropriate decisions about what's truly best for us individually. And then once we do that collectively, we're able to come together and create from that. And my guidance team always says that, which is the heart space, which is the frequency of love. And I was called to talk a little bit about love because that's sometimes misinterpreted through the human experience as this sunshine and rainbows, complementary, fluffy energy. And it really isn't just that. The bigger word that, or the bigger frequency around that is it's a vibration. So when my guidance team says, feel love, tune into the heart, it is a frequency. It isn't necessarily a definitive action. It isn't a definitive, there is no defining factor that is the only way to be in the heart and the only way to feel love. It's going to be different for everyone. But the common theme is compassion and gratitude. Those tend to be the most, and again, I keep hearing neutrality, which means recognizing when we're in judgment, when we're angry, when we're feeling hostile, when we're feeling vulnerable, when we're feeling victimized. All of these things come back to the heart and let it go and see if we can find a place of compassion for ourselves, compassion for the people we're feeling that about. Maybe we're feeling that about ourselves. And this allows us to exchange with the universe in a much more fluid way. And we're then able to trust moving forward what it is that we're tuning into, and we can interpret these, I'm hearing extraterrestrial factions that we may or may not be seeing this. I'm seeing many different timelines where some are, I'm being called not to go in that direction. Okay. So essentially, connecting in with the heart allows us to then properly interpret all the messages that we're receiving, not only from the old world, the 3D, the news stations, whatever else it might be, but also the messages we're receiving from all around us, because we are conduits, we are interpreters, we are translators, and then we go forward with that perspective that we've gained through our interpretation, that maybe we've gained through our experience. Sometimes it's just we are interpreting it based on what we think we know. But I'm also being called, when you channel it through the heart, it becomes more of an experience. If we're just thinking about something and we're making a decision based on what we think is right, a judgment, but we're not channeling it through here first, it's not embodied. It isn't something that it's not necessarily even ours. For example, we're being told a story by a news reporter. We trust that news reporter because they've told other stories before that have been correct, according to what we know. Therefore, they're telling us this news story, and we're being told that's true. However, we feel that there's something off about it. If we're not used to, in the habit of, consistently running things through our heart, we're not going to know how to discern if it is true or if it isn't, number one. And number two, we're not going to be able to necessarily discern or feel into the truth of our perception of that particular story. So when we have an experience, it changes our perception. It changes our vision. It changes how we feel about something. It changes what we know about something. And therefore, if we change what we know about something and we're not just thinking about it, but we're utilizing all of our tools, what we think we know might shift based on what we're also feeling. And this is a difficult subject because many people are used to feeling what they're told to feel, and they don't realize that's what they're doing. And it's a program. So what I'm being shown is we might be moving forward in this new world, this new reality, but we're still programmable. So we are being invited to get out of the program, not follow the protocol. This is a play on words. The prototype that we've been locked into habitually our entire lives, right? We're being called to recognize something as counterintuitive. And that's always a play on words for me. So if something from what I'm playing with here, it's like not our intuitive feeling, it counters that. And what we're listening to is saying, this is what you should be paying attention to. This is how you should be reacting. This is how you should be feeling. I mean, think about commercials. Commercials tell you how that product should make you feel. You should be feeling this when you use this product. Number one, they're telling you how you should be feeling. Number two, they're insinuating that you will be using their product. Therefore, they're using an energy to make it so, to manifest it. So there's so many different ways of looking at it, but we're in a very quickly changing world. Therefore, we must very quickly utilize all of our senses and call them up and into action through compassionate action, which means we have to use our heart. And by doing that, it makes it a physical, embodied experience. And then it helps us to begin to train ourselves, to retrain our brain to not just be operating on its own, to not just be listening to what's going on out there, looking for something out there to give us the answers. We retrain it to become the heart-brain connection. And sidebar, I've been shown that our heart has things in it, or activities, or potentially these tiny little hairs that we're not even fully aware of how they work, because from one perspective, we're not really fully aware of how they work. From another perspective, they're growing. I've been shown that our human body is evolving in a positive way. And I've also been shown, that they're discovering things about the brain or the DNA is a perfect example. How often have we heard about our junk DNA? It's there. We just don't understand it. Therefore, we label it as junk. The heart is also something that many scientists already understand, but us as a human collective don't necessarily recognize the electric capabilities of the heart, the electrical stemuli. There's these little fibers that are essentially, from what I see psychically, or whatever you want to call it, intuitively, I see these little tiny fibers reconnecting access points that were previously disconnected. And furthermore, I am seeing this is creating a stimulation that is occurring within the central nervous system that is activating the brain stem to a higher potential. And I'm hearing a higher gate of variance, a higher variability. Like there's definitely something going on that is triggering a massive flood. And that's a play on words for so many reasons. But it's literally, and I've seen this when I've interacted with people who have, like, let's say a Kundalini activation, or I've been shown that it just bathes the body. And so there's enhanced electrical capabilities, there's enhanced intuition. It's like superhuman, but it's not superhuman necessarily in the way that we've been told. I don't know that people are necessarily going to start, I was going to say flying or floating, or what do you call that? Levitating. They might. Every individual person has unique capabilities that they came ready to activate. And that's happening for a lot of people. For some, it'll be different than others, but there's a baseline of innate abilities that are activated. I'm in flow right now, and I'm just doing it in a slightly different way, that are activated through the compassion button. It's like ding, 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 ding. As soon as that button is stabilized, and I'm going to go back to what I was trying to say a moment ago, it's a frequency. So many of us have heard 432 hertz and 528 hertz, I think, is the heart and higher heart. It stabilizes that the more frequently we run these thoughts, we run these ideas, we run it through the heart. It's almost like, how does my heart feel about that? Am I in a place of compassion? Do I feel gratitude for this? How does this make me feel? And I can tune in and then shift it, run it back up through the brain. And then all of a sudden, it reorganizes the thought patterns, the frequency, the feelings, therefore the experience, therefore the perception. And everything is perception, perspective. I then, in that moment, after I ran that story through my heart, open my eyes, and it can happen in a second. It doesn't have to be this whole long process. And I have a different perspective than I did 2 seconds ago. And it allows me to then operate at a higher potential. Whereas before, and what many people are doing right now, is they're not even using that gift. They're not even unlocking that package. So they're operating at a higher rate. It's almost, well, it's less grounded. It's it can be overwhelming at times because a lot of people aren't embodying it. They're just in their heads a lot. And they're only using one side of their brain primarily. And there's something about when we move into the heart, and we go into that vibrational frequency, we do our breathing, it allows us to harness our fuller potential. And that's essentially what the guides are saying with this wordplay, is that it's time to step it up, because things are happening so fast and so quickly that many people are looking for the same thing they've been looking for in a different, suit, we'll say. And the other message is, this is all happening inside of us. So stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers. And also I'm being shown, put the pedal to the metal, like get out of our own way. We're slowing ourselves down by not utilizing all of our skin suit technology. We've only been using, they say that we only use 10% of our brain, which is, I think, not accurate. But what about everything else? So it's time to, what I'm hearing is access those points. Okay, so I hope I kind of tied all that in together. We talked about, okay, so I'll go back into a little flow. Is that better without the, doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just be orange. Or like an Oompa Loompa. So these heartstrings that we are speaking of, these beautiful fibers, we could think of it as fiber optic technology that grows the more we exercise it. And this is inevitable that many of the humans will grow this no matter what. Yet, wouldn't it be nice if we could grow them at a faster pace in order to assist us with keeping up with the faster pace? For all is coming together at a higher rate of speed, as many are feeling pulled in this this crazy general direction. Yet we also remind everybody that there is not just one version of reality, and each person, the reality that they interact with is based on their perception, which is based on their vibration, which is based on many different things, we could say. So the more consistent we focus our energy, thoughts, actions, deeds, and interactions on harmony, on gratitude for the experience and interactions, and the more we begin to signal to the body or receive the signals from the body, and the more this enhances our experience, for then we are working together in unison with the cellular song that is seeking to gain our attention or get our awareness. So I'm seeing that there's been this song playing the whole time, and we haven't trained ourselves to hear it. Therefore, we don't hear it. I call it the sound behind the sound, but I'm just kind of being shown it's like the cellular technology in the body is like, we're here whenever you're ready to listen. We're going to keep singing until you hear us. And this is, I'm being called to play with heart song, heart chords, heart strings. There's a reason that those words have been associated with the heart for so long, because they are literal. It's a literal sound that the body begins to make, the hum on, the human. I'm hearing Schumann resonance, the Schumann, the human, the hum on. And what it does is when the sound is allowed to be cohesive and consistent, it weaves a pattern, and the body begins to recognize a harmonic that allows adjustments to be made that were previously unavailable because of the disharmony that the body was constantly in. Like, yeah. Okay. And so we come back to the original message. And at the beginning, we had spoken of those of us who are looking to the sky for a savior, or looking to the sky for a reason to focus our life energy, our life force, meaning we're looking towards a particular person, place, thing, or subject matter to focus on other than ourselves. And this is where it becomes challenging, for there are many of us who have always been doing that. We have been focusing our attention and energy on being a good parent, and we'll come to that later because I can see that's still important. Being a good employee, clocking in, I'm hearing punching in and punching out in just the right way, lining up in the right line, and so on and so forth. Always looking for approval from the person that is managing the time clock from one perspective. So therefore, it is difficult at times for us to clock out of time and move into a new dimensional relationship with time. And while that may be another subject for a later time, or better spoken, a later date, play on words, like let's make a date and talk about this later. This is challenging for some, yet we are inviting people to heed the call within, to go within and feel in this moment, what is it that is drawing our attention elsewhere? And while it is fine to focus on something outside of us for entertainment purposes or for answers to questions that we may feel we have at times, it is equally or more so important, actually. It is important for us to at least spend equal time connecting with our own tune, our own harmony, our own body, and creating our own time, and not necessarily following the program of someone else's time. So I'm being called to stop and talk about this. Watching TV, gotta watch the news, gotta watch the news, gotta watch this show. I have to be here at this time. I have this project to work on. And it's so full that we're constantly looking over here, that by the time we center in on our heart or our body, we're too tired, we go to sleep, we start it all over again. So again, it's important for us to really tune in. And this can be done through a daily ritual. And it can be as simple as us agreeing with us to make ourselves the priority before giving our energy to others, to those that are seeking to take our time. For we are now operating at a higher rate of variability. So I'm seeing this has to do with we're manifesting faster. Now, the powers that be may be recognizing that. And so this is where the script has shifted slightly, because they are recognizing that we are aware, we are looking for answers, and we are looking for something to bring us hope, to bring us joy, to bring us pleasure, to bring us, I have a vision of like the gladiators. Like, we're like, bring on the gladiators. We want something to bring us out of our, all kinds of words just came in. Some people are not happy. Some people are bored. Some people are depressed. Some people are angry. Some people are in a state of just complete apathy. So whether or not they realize that, they're looking for something else to fill that gap, to fill that void. And so what I'm being shown is, we don't necessarily realize it, but that's a way to avoid really getting to the heart of the matter. And I'm hearing the heart, tuning into the heart. So the ritual might include just waking up in the morning with gratitude in the heart, waking up and being grateful for the fact that we are waking up. Play on words. Waking up in the morning, waking up to what's around us, waking up to our fuller potential, feeling gratitude that we have a breath, that we're taking a breath, feeling gratitude as we stretch our body and muscles, that we have this vehicle in order to be used to hug our family, to eat delicious food, to see with our eyes beautiful visions of nature, to hear with our ears beautiful music, to feel with our skin and our senses the softness of rose petals, and to smell the delightful smells that are all around us, and also recognizing that all of this is a gift. And if we see this as something to be grateful for right away, at first breath, at first light in the morning, at first light upon us, feeling the light on our skin, recognizing the light within, we bring that up and we carry it forward throughout the rest of our time, our day. The more often we do this, the more cohesive, the more I'm seeing consistent we then become with exercising our heart muscle. And this is the message we were alluding to earlier, for this is a muscle that must be exercised just like anything else. We have been over dominant in the left brain and seeing solar plexus, and less dominant in the field of the heart. And yet now is the time to reorganize that. And we must start with the heart. We must give ourselves a heart start. Every morning of every day, this becomes a way in which to interact with our bodies and with our thoughts, our feelings. It's a harmonization of sorts, and it only takes a few moments to create this regularly. This is also encouraged to do from then on, before sleep and throughout the day. As often as we feel the presence of being able to feel the present, the gift of compassion and gratitude. For example, if someone walks in at your place of work where you are focusing your attention, where you are spending your time, and this person is complimentary, we might take a moment to feel the gratitude for the compliment or the gift that individual is taking their time and spending that time, this has to do with value, to gift to you. Also, we may, or in addition to, feel compelled to gift someone else with a compliment. We encourage everyone to make it genuine, because that genuine feeling or frequency or energy or vibration or sound is felt at a different level. It's almost as if the hearts then connect through the generosity and the truthfulness, the abundance of the truth of that moment. The feeling is then locked in and allows for a deeper communion, a deeper shared moment that enhances the wavelength of that gratitude. So I'm going to kind of end on that note. What I'm being shown is this is just one example, and there's so many, and I have a feeling more and more videos are going to be coming out about this from my higher guidance team, because it's so important and it seems so easy, yet we oftentimes forget. And what they're showing me are, we may already be doing that, but maybe we could do it more often, or maybe there's certain moments that we haven't been recognizing in which we could do it, or we may not have, we might be able to enhance it through our authenticity about how we really genuinely feel about someone. It could be something simple. It doesn't have to be, and again, I'm being shown like we don't have to overdo it. It doesn't have to be the same person every day, a different piece of clothing we're complimenting. I'm hearing, which I always love to say, share the love, spread the love. It might even be someone I'm hearing that I'm seeing like someone who has a bad taste in their mouth, like, oh, this person kind of rubs me the wrong way, but they might have really nice hair that day, or maybe their eyes look really pretty, or they did something that made you recognize their abilities and you want to just say, hey, that was a really good job. I thought that was great. I love what you said the other day. Something little, and we may not even like that person, but it doesn't matter, because energy is energy. And this is another of the message that's coming through about that fluff of sunshine and rainbows. We don't have to really, even though at the beginning they're like love, 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 it doesn't mean we're at the the capacity, we do have the capacity, but we may not feel that we have the capacity to love everyone. This particular person is not someone we would usually compliment. But it has to be genuine. So we may not want to compliment them. We might want to compliment someone else, or we might want to bring someone who's having a bad day their favorite tea or a muffin or whatever it might be. It's the little things that then create this consistency. And it's not about us faking it. And it isn't about us forcing ourselves to like someone when we recognize that that's not authentic. And that's important because sometimes we judge ourselves about that. I don't like everyone. I try to find a positive reason, a positive characteristic that I might like someone for. I genuinely like most people, actually. So let me just say, I like most people, but there are some people that are just mean or that are really angry all the time. That doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily invite them to dinner, but that may be exactly what we need to do. We're using, and that's where we use that discernment, we channel it through our heart. And if we recognize that may not be appropriate for whatever reason, then we don't do it. And we utilize it somewhere else, and maybe at a different time it will be. It may never be that person that dislikes us or that we dislike ever becomes something where we give each other hugs and everything's fine. And that's okay. Part of this is just changing our perspective about the experience, or changing our perspective about that person to where we're not in a hostile frequency. Instead, we might say, I'm grateful that this person is reflecting back to me my judgment. That changes the frequency. Okay, in love and light, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste.